אני מורן, ולטובת הצוות פה עם המצלמה, ועקב העובדה שקרן צריכה לגייס עכשיו אנשים שיממנו לה את Socialize, אני הולכת לעשות את החלק הזה באנגלית, כדי שיהיה למה לשלוח לאנשים בחו"ל להגיד, הנה הפעילות המרהיבה שאני עושה במהלך השנה. So, again, my name is Moran, and I'm going less to be talking about my company, which is Pronto. Pronto develops contactless ultrasonic solutions for anyone in the payment market. I'm going to touch a little bit on the end as what we do as a company, but mainly I'm just going to talk about the ecosystem that we live in, which is contactless technologies and how essentially that hooks into the entire social aspect and why contactless technologies are social. And I'm going to be doing this by bursting a few bubbles that a lot of us think are true. And the first one I'm going to be talking about is contactless payment. And there's a distinction that needs to be made here between the concept of contactless payment and the concept of contactless technologies. One of these things is a product, the other of them are technologies. They do not make a product on their own. And for example, contactless payment is me walking into a store, seeing a new pair of boots that I really like, getting them, walking up to the counter and waving my cell phone and completing the purchase. That would be a contactless payment. And that's what you see here. This is essentially a vehicle that is delivering this. So what we're talking about here is an application and a product. And everything else that you're seeing, if it's Wi-Fi, NFC, Bluetooth, and Pronto, were technologies. And this distinction is really important because a lot of people don't understand that these technologies by themselves, while they're cool and while they're amazing and can help a product a lot, they do not make a product by themselves. I have the ability to sing, and I can actually sing quite well, but that doesn't make me a musician because I can't make a product out of the vocal talent that I have. But an application using these kind of technologies does have the potential to change this entire ecosystem. The second thing that I want to talk about is who is behind contactless payment. Now, Karen was talking about before how contactless payment essentially is us all grouping together and banding up against merchants and credit cards. And while that is a really lovely idea, unfortunately, when it comes to contactless payment, that's not who's driving this entire economy. And we're used to looking at these applications, like these ones. And we see these entrepreneurs getting up on stage and saying, we're going to change the world, and we're building a new application that is going to make your life easier and better. But these developers or these product managers need to deal with one simple truth. They need to make money at the end of the day. And they have two ways that they can make money. One of them is they can sell it directly to the consumer. They can make a product that the consumer is willing to pay for, and that's great. But if you don't have that product the consumer is willing to pay for, then you need to have data on the other end that someone else is willing to pay for. And that is where these guys come in. These are essentially the players behind everything that is contactless. Whenever you're walking into a store and someone is trying to convince you now to buy something with your mobile phone with an application, they're trying to find the data that is behind it. Because right now, a lot of these transactions are happening in cash. And anything in cash is not actionable. There is no BI behind it. The credit card company cannot learn anything from it, and neither can the merchant. And also, even if you do have a credit card and you are swiping it, it takes time. It is not actionable in real time. And this is going to bring us to what is social behind it. But it is important, if you have an awesome idea, that you know if you make a really good product that someone is going to be able to pay you for it. And this is what makes contactless social. So we're kind of used to looking at social in terms of this entire network effect and how are we going to reach hundreds of thousands of users within a minute. But contactless is not about that. And a lot of the time we forget that social used to be something a lot more simple. It used to be about walking into a coffee shop and having that person remember your name and being able to say, do you want your usual? And that is social on the most basic level. And that is what contactless technology comes around and tries to solve. They essentially want to be able to come in and give that store the ability to know exactly what you want, exactly when you will want it, and to give you an amazing user experience as a result. So Starbucks is probably the best known one out there, and they have an amazing application out there that lets them look at their customers, know what kind of latte they're going to want when they walk into the store, and deliver it on time with a name, and convert their customer to come again and again and again and build loyalty. So this is what makes contactless social, because it's meant to bridge this gap that we have between our virtual world on the one side and our physical world on the other. Because at the end of the day, we don't live only in Facebook or only in Twitter or only even in eBay or Amazon. At some point, we do need to interact with other people. And a lot of those interactions are going to involve buying something. And as long as products and technologies make this process difficult, then consumers will still be reaching into their pocket and pulling out cash. So this is the world that I live in every single day, trying to explain to application developers that my company will give you an ability, but you are the ones building a product, and your product needs to be amazing. I can help you take it to the next level. I can make it more engaging. I can make it more social, but I can't make a product. And this is the main thing that I, every single day, run into, that people do not make this distinction between a product and a piece of technology. And it's something that is essential to understand, because just like me, there's other amazing pieces of technology out there that help application developers and product managers build amazing applications. And they need to be aware of that, and they need to know how to pick and choose what they want. And on that note, I'm just going to talk a few minutes about what we do as a company. So as I said before, we build ultrasonic connectivity solutions in the contactless market. So we're mainly selling to electronic payment providers. So what we do is we essentially take two devices. I'll show a short video in the end if the video decides to work, because sometimes it doesn't. We essentially say, you know, I walk into a store. I know I want a cup of coffee. I'm willing to buy that cup of coffee. But I don't want to go through a really annoying user experience right now in terms of, you know, choosing who I want to connect to and transferring the money. It's just too much. It's easier for me to reach into my pocket and pull out 15 shekels and pay for my cup of coffee, assuming I got a really big coffee. So what we do is we created an authentication protocol that works in the ultrasonic range, meaning you don't hear what's going on. This is above where we can hear as normal human beings. And this essentially connects you between, say, if this were a point of sale, and I were to bring my phone and put it against it, it would automatically say that I, as a consumer, now want to make a payment to this device and this device alone, and allow now the transaction to be completed. So we offer this as a built-in solution for developers or product managers. We give this as a software package. It's literally install it and you're ready to go. It's totally cross-platform. Because we're using ultrasonic frequencies, which is at the end of the day just sound, we're using a microphone and a speaker. This is the lowest common denominator that you have out there when it comes to any mobile device. I don't care if you're working on an iPhone or if you're working on an Android. I don't care if it's the newest one or it's the oldest one out there. If it has a microphone and it has a speaker and it's a little bit smart, then we're capable of working on it. And the last thing about it is it's secure. And when you're coming to payments and you're coming to fintech in general, if it's not secure, if you can't put a stamp on this and say, our customers, your customers, are not going to get hurt of this process, and this is going to be something that can always serve them, and their money will be safe with you, then you're never going to get off the ground. So literally 5 minutes, you're up and running in a production environment. And I will show you a quick video if I manage to get it up. And I have no idea how this computer works, so if someone wants to come and help me, this would be lovely. I'll check one more for it. Okay, so you're just seeing a video of the demo going on behind you. This is essentially a point of sale. This is a cashier, a merchant, someone that wants to receive payment. And on this end here, you can see the customer who's trying to pay. All you need to do is take your device, shake it in front of the other device, and automatically this entire cycle is initiated and finished within a second. So your customer doesn't need to do anything. There's no pick the right merchant that you want to pay to. There's no find the Bluetooth network. All of these things are extremely simple, and you don't need to be, what operating system do you have? It will always work, which is one of the most important things out there. Sorry, this is from an interview, and I had read highlights at that point. The other big thing here is what we call a network effect or critical mass. Because Pronto essentially does everything up in the cloud, there's very little going on the client side. We're able to connect applications. So an electronic wallet, normally the biggest problem that they're going to have is getting enough users on their platform for them to take off and make money. And we can solve this problem if those electronic wallets come along and make some kind of agreement with other ones. So if you have, say, 10 electronic wallets and each one of them has 10,000 users, if they decide that they now want to work together, we can connect them with one line of code in the cloud, meaning that they no longer will need to look for critical mass. They can get it through partnerships with other electronic wallets. They're making their money on the transaction. It doesn't need to matter to them how many users are in them, or in their network specifically. It needs to matter how much their network can reach in total. So that was my overview over contactless technology and how it's social and fintech, and a little bit about Pronto. And if you have any questions, Hebrew, English, doesn't matter, feel free. טוב, אני אענה בעברית. לא, נתחיל בזה, לא. Yeah, he was asking, right now, all of this data, if I'm looking at a credit card like Amex, all of the data is sitting up in the cloud. And he was asking if what's happening now, if this data is now being transferred in the direct loop between the devices. And that's not what we do. What we're doing is creating an authentication protocol. We're trying to pick out which device wants to now start a transfer with which device. So when you come up and you shake your device against the point of sale, the only thing going on in the immediate bandwidth is the recognition. So this is the authentication, the identification. Once it's authorized, the money is being transferred on the cloud and in a secure server. Anything else? Did I get your question? כן, 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 ללא ספק. אנחנו, אין ספק, עוד יותר, מעבר לזה, אנחנו אפילו לא רואים מה מועבר. כל מה שאנחנו עושים זה ההנדשייק המאובטח הזה בין המכשירים. אין לי, מבחינתי, אני רואה סטרינג של דאטה, הסטרינג של דאטה הזה יכול להיות מוצפן, אין לי שום צורך לדעת מה יש בו. זה גם יכול לשבת בענן של הכרטיס אשראי. מן הסתם שכרטיסי אשראי לא נותנים לי גישה למידע הזה. אין לי שום צורך לדעת מה יש בטרנזקציה. Any more questions? I can't really see because I have this like blaring light, so someone look around and say I'm done if no one has any more questions.